I mentioned in the last lecture that action creators can help us. For that, I'll create a new subfolder in the store folder. I'll name it actions, and I move my actions in there. I'll leave the file as it is for now. I moved it into the actions folder because we'll also add multiple action files over the next lectures. But for now, let's stick to this one. In there, we export all our action identifiers, and that is working fine. Now I want to introduce a new way of creating actions, so-called action creators. How does that look like? What is that? An action creator is just a function which returns an action, or which creates an action, hence the name. We right now create our actions hard-coded in our code, or simply when we need them, I should say, in the counter component. Here on map dispatch to props, the actions, these are just these JavaScript objects, right? We create them here. We create them by simply writing the code for the object into our dispatch function. An action creator would return such an object. And you can see the benefit when we talk about asynchronous code. So let's create an action creator right now for synchronous code though. For that, I'll create a new function, and you can use the function keyword or create an arrow function, and I'll name it increment. The convention is to use the same name as your identifier, but in camel case, so lowercase character first. Increment is an arrow function, as I said. It will return something eventually, and it will receive something. It can receive something, I should say. It receives any payloads you want to pass with that action. Here for increment, I don't want to pass any, so instead I just return something, and that something is the action, so a JavaScript object. Now, as any action, it has to have a type, and the type should be increment, referring to our identifier. Previously, I did this in the counter.js file, here increment, which I imported from action types by reaching out to that actions file. Now, I actually can get rid of that import, and we will have to change what we dispatch here soon. For now, let's go back to the actions.js file. This is our first action creator already. It returns, it creates therefore, an action. And an action just needs to have a type, so that's the bare minimum action we can create. We can use this action creator now in the counter.js file, where we do dispatch it, by first of all importing it. So here I'll import something from this actions file. So I'll navigate up to the store folder, into actions, and there to the actions.js file. Now in there, I need to go back to it. I need to export this increment function. Now I can import it by name. So in the counter.js file, I can import increment. And keep in mind, this is a function. Now we can use that function in the counter.js file at the bottom, where we map our props to dispatch functions. For increment, here, I will now simply pass increment like that and also execute it. Because once I execute increment, and this will happen when this prop is basically executed, when I execute increment, this will give me an action because it's an action creator. Don't forget that. Increment returns us an action. So we execute it, we get an action. Now that's very nice. Our application is still broke though, because all the other actions here are not connected. So what I'll quickly do is, I'll create more action creators for all the other actions. Or to be precise, you should do this. So here's your challenge. Create action creators, like this one, for all the other actions, and see if you can figure out how to handle the actions which actually need a payload. We'll do it together in the next video.